Religion, in its conventional sense, is often defined by several core characteristics: a system of faith or worship, a belief in a higher power or divine being, sacred texts, rituals, and a set of moral and ethical guidelines. These elements create a framework that helps followers make sense of the world, providing them with a sense of purpose, community, and an understanding of life and the universe. Faith, a cornerstone of conventional religion, is the trust or confidence in a higher power, deity, or the teachings of a religion. It involves a belief in the unseen, the unknown, and often the unprovable. This faith is typically supported by dogma, established beliefs and doctrines proclaimed by religious authorities. Sacred texts such as the Bible, the Quran, or the Vedas serve as the foundational documents of many religions, providing guidelines, stories, and teachings that shape the faith and practices of adherents. These texts are considered infallible, divinely inspired, and serve as the ultimate authority in matters of faith and morality. Rituals and ceremonies are another hallmark of traditional religions. These practices, ranging from daily prayers and meditation to annual festivals and rites of passage, serve to reinforce beliefs, foster community, and mark significant life events. They often symbolize deeper truths and provide a structured way for followers to express their faith. For instance, the sacraments in Christianity, the 5 pillars of Islam, and the rituals of Hinduism all serve to create a tangible expression of faith, fostering a sense of belonging and continuity within the religious community. Ethical and moral guidelines are also fundamental to conventional religions. These guidelines, often derived from sacred texts and religious teachings, provide a framework for living a virtuous and righteous life. They influence behavior, decision-making, and social interactions, helping adherents to navigate the complexities of life in a manner that is consistent with their religious beliefs. In contrast, Buddhism presents a unique phenomenon, a religion that does not conform to these conventional characteristics. Buddhism lacks a belief in a supreme God or divine being who governs the universe. Instead, it focuses on the individual's journey toward enlightenment, emphasizing personal experience and inner transformation over external worship or faith in the divine. While Buddhism does have sacred texts, such as the Tripitaka, these texts are not viewed as divine commandments, but rather as guides and teachings to help practitioners understand and follow the path laid out by the Buddha. The Buddha himself encouraged followers to question his teachings and test them against their own experiences, rather than accepting them on blind faith. This emphasis on personal verification is encapsulated in the Buddha's famous admonition: "Do not believe in anything simply because you have heard it. Do not believe in anything simply because it is spoken and rumored by many. Do not believe in anything simply because it is found written in your religious books. Do not believe in anything merely on the authority of your teachers and elders. But after observation and analysis, when you find that anything agrees with reason and is conducive to the good and benefit of one and all, then accept it and live up to it." Buddhism also diverges from the concept of dogma. There are no creeds or doctrines that must be accepted without question. Instead, it promotes an investigative and experiential approach to understanding reality, where personal insight and wisdom are valued over adherence to rigid beliefs. This non-dogmatic approach allows for a diverse range of interpretations and practices within the Buddhist tradition, accommodating different cultural contexts and individual experiences. The role of faith in Buddhism is quite different from that in conventional religions. In Buddhism, faith, or sada in Pali, is not blind belief, but a trust in the path and the practices that lead to enlightenment. This faith is based on understanding and experience, rather than acceptance of doctrines or dogmas. It is a confidence that arises from seeing the benefits of Buddhist practice in one's own life, from observing the transformation in oneself and others. This type of faith is dynamic and evolves with one's practice and understanding, rather than being a static acceptance of religious tenets. This non-religious aspect of Buddhism makes it accessible to individuals who might be skeptical of traditional religious beliefs. It appeals to those who are seeking a spiritual path grounded in personal experience and empirical inquiry. As such, Buddhism can be seen as a practical philosophy or a way of life, rather than a religion in the conventional sense. It provides tools and practices for cultivating mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom, encouraging practitioners to explore the nature of their own minds and the reality of their experiences. The story of Buddhism begins with the life of Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha. Born into a royal family in the Shakya kingdom, located in what is now Nepal, around the 6th century BCE, Siddhartha's early life was one of luxury and privilege. His father, King Suddhodana, shielded him from the harsh realities of life, providing him with every comfort and pleasure. According to traditional accounts, Siddhartha was destined to become either a great king or a revered spiritual leader. Hoping his son would follow in his footsteps and become a powerful ruler, Suddhodana took great care to prevent him from encountering any form of suffering or hardship. Despite these efforts, Siddhartha's curiosity about the world outside the palace walls grew. At the age of 29, he ventured beyond the confines of his sheltered life and encountered what are now famously known as the Four Sights: an old man, a sick person, a corpse, and a wandering ascetic. These encounters profoundly impacted him, revealing the inescapable truths of aging, sickness, death, and the possibility of spiritual liberation. Determined to find a solution to the suffering inherent in human existence, Siddhartha renounced his royal life, leaving behind his wife, Yasodhara, and their newborn son, Rahula. He embarked on a quest for enlightenment, seeking answers from various teachers and practicing extreme forms of asceticism. For 6 years, Siddhartha subjected himself to severe austerities, believing that self-mortification would lead to spiritual liberation. However, he eventually realized that such extreme practices were not the path to enlightenment. Abandoning asceticism, Siddhartha adopted a middle way, a path of moderation between the extremes of self-indulgence and self-mortification. He settled under a Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, vowing not to rise until he had attained enlightenment. After a night of deep meditation, he achieved profound insight into the nature of existence, overcoming the temptations of Mara, the demon of illusion. With this awakening, Siddhartha became the Buddha, the awakened one. The Buddha's enlightenment revealed to him the Four Noble Truths, which form the foundation of Buddhist teaching: the truth of suffering, dukkha; the truth of the origin of suffering, samudaya; the truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha; and the truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, magga. These truths diagnose the human condition and prescribe a path to liberation, known as the Noble Eightfold Path. This path includes right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The Buddha spent the next 45 years traveling across northern India, teaching his insights to all who would listen. He established a monastic community, the Sangha, which provided a supportive environment for those seeking to follow his path. His teachings, known as the Dharma, emphasized the importance of personal experience and ethical conduct, encouraging followers to cultivate wisdom, ethical behavior, and mental discipline. One of the unique aspects of the Buddha's teachings is the emphasis on impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. The Buddha taught that all conditioned things are impermanent and subject to change. Clinging to anything, whether it be material possessions, relationships, or even one's own identity, inevitably leads to suffering. He also taught that the notion of a permanent, unchanging self is an illusion. Understanding these truths is crucial for overcoming attachment and achieving liberation. The Buddha's teachings also include the practice of mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness involves paying careful attention to one's thoughts, feelings, and sensations in the present moment without judgment. This practice helps individuals develop greater awareness and insight into the nature of their minds and the world around them. Meditation, particularly practices such as samatha, calm abiding, and vipassana, insight meditation, helps cultivate concentration, clarity, and wisdom. The Buddha's approach was pragmatic and focused on the practical application of his teachings to alleviate suffering. He did not claim to have a divine revelation, but encouraged his followers to investigate his teachings and verify them through their own experience. This empirical approach has contributed to Buddhism's appeal across different cultures and times, allowing it to adapt and integrate with various societies while maintaining its core principles. The historical Buddha passed away at the age of 80 in Kushinagar, India. His death, known as parinirvana, marked the end of his physical existence, but his teachings continued to spread and evolve. Over the centuries, Buddhism developed into various schools and traditions, each interpreting and expanding upon the original teachings in different ways. Despite these variations, the core message of the Buddha, emphasizing the importance of personal experience, ethical conduct, and mental discipline, remains central to all forms of Buddhism. Here we aim to provide a comprehensive understanding of the life and teachings of the Buddha, setting the stage for exploring the unique characteristics of Buddhism that distinguish it from conventional religions. Through the lens of the Buddha's experiences and insights, we can appreciate the profound and transformative potential of his teachings, which continue to inspire and guide millions of people around the world. One of the most distinctive features of Buddhism is its rejection of dogma. In many religious traditions, dogma refers to the authoritative and unchangeable beliefs that followers are expected to accept without question. These doctrines often form the foundation of religious identity and practice, providing a clear set of guidelines for understanding the divine, the universe, and human morality. In contrast, Buddhism encourages a more flexible and inquisitive approach to spiritual understanding, emphasizing personal experience and practical wisdom over rigid adherence to prescribed beliefs. The Buddha himself exemplified this approach. His teachings were not based on divine revelation, but on his own direct experience of enlightenment. He encouraged his followers to test his teachings through their own experiences and to adopt what proved beneficial and true. This pragmatic attitude is captured in the famous Kalama Sutta, where the Buddha advises the Kalamas, a group of villagers, to question all teachings, including his own, and to rely on their own discernment and experience to determine what leads to well-being and liberation. In this spirit, Buddhism promotes a form of faith known as saddha in Pali, which is different from the blind faith often associated with dogmatic religions. Saddha can be translated as confidence or trust, and it refers to a trust in the efficacy of the Buddhist path based on understanding and personal experience. This faith is not static. It evolves and deepens with practice and insight. It is akin to the confidence one gains in a mentor or a skilled guide who has demonstrated their expertise through practical results. Saddha is initially inspired by hearing the teachings of the Buddha and witnessing the positive transformations in those who practice them. It grows stronger through personal experience and the realization of the benefits of following the Noble Eightfold Path. This path, which includes right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, serves as a practical guide to ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. The lack of dogma in Buddhism allows for a diversity of interpretations and practices within the tradition. This flexibility has enabled Buddhism to adapt to different cultural contexts while maintaining its core principles. Various schools of Buddhism, such as Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana, each offer unique perspectives and practices, yet all share the foundational teachings of the Buddha. Theravada Buddhism, often referred to as the teaching of the elders, is prevalent in Southeast Asia and emphasizes the original teachings of the Buddha as preserved in the Pali Canon. It focuses on individual enlightenment and the monastic path, advocating rigorous meditation practice and adherence to the Vinaya, the monastic code. Mahayana Buddhism, known as the Great Vehicle, is dominant in East Asia and offers a broader interpretation of the Buddha's teachings. It emphasizes the ideal of the bodhisattva, a being who seeks enlightenment not only for themselves but for all sentient beings. This school introduced a rich array of scriptures, including the Prajnaparamita Sutras and the Lotus Sutra, which expand on the themes of compassion and wisdom. Vajrayana Buddhism, or the Diamond Vehicle, found primarily in Tibet and Mongolia, incorporates esoteric practices and rituals aimed at rapid spiritual transformation. It employs advanced meditation techniques, mantra recitation, and visualization practices, often under the guidance of a qualified teacher. Despite these variations, the non-dogmatic nature of Buddhism remains a unifying feature. Practitioners are encouraged to explore different teachings and practices, integrating what resonates with their own experiences and insights. This openness fosters a dynamic and evolving tradition, where new interpretations and methods can emerge in response to changing circumstances and understanding. The role of faith in Buddhism is thus fundamentally different from that in dogmatic religions. it is a faith grounded in personal experience and rational inquiry, rather than unquestioning belief in fixed doctrines. This approach aligns with the scientific method, which values empirical evidence and continual questioning. As such, Buddhism has found a natural affinity with modern scientific perspectives, particularly in fields such as psychology and neuroscience, which have increasingly recognized the benefits of meditation and mindfulness practices. Buddhism without dogma offers a unique spiritual path that emphasizes personal experience, practical wisdom, and a dynamic, evolving faith. This approach not only sets Buddhism apart from many conventional religions, but also makes it particularly relevant and accessible in the contemporary world, where individuals seek spiritual paths that resonate with their own experiences and values. The concept of God or a supreme deity is central to many religions. In these traditions, God is often viewed as the creator and sustainer of the universe, a being who is all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-loving. This divine figure provides a source of comfort, guidance, and moral authority for believers. However, Buddhism offers a fundamentally different perspective on the concept of God, one that challenges conventional notions of divinity and spirituality. The Buddha himself was notably silent on the existence of a creator God. He did not deny or affirm the existence of gods. Rather, he considered questions about the creation of the universe and the existence of a supreme being to be metaphysical speculations that distracted from the practical path to enlightenment. In the Aggivaccaggotta Sutta, the Buddha explained that his teachings were not concerned with whether the universe is eternal or finite, whether it has an end or not, but rather with the cessation of suffering. His focus was on the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, which provide a practical framework for understanding and overcoming suffering. In this context, the Buddha viewed belief in God as a form of attachment and delusion. He argued that clinging to the idea of a supreme being or seeking refuge in divine intervention could prevent individuals from taking responsibility for their own spiritual development. This view is encapsulated in the Buddha's teachings on anatta, or non-self, which deny the existence of a permanent, unchanging soul or self. Just as there is no eternal self within individuals, there is no need for an eternal, omnipotent deity to explain the nature of existence. The Buddha's stance on God can be seen as part of his broader critique of reliance on external authorities and metaphysical speculations. He taught that true liberation comes from direct insight into the nature of reality, achieved through meditation, ethical conduct, and wisdom, rather than through faith in external powers. This emphasis on self-reliance and personal responsibility is a defining feature of Buddhism, setting it apart from theistic religions that emphasize divine grace or intervention. Despite this, Buddhism does recognize the existence of deities, but these beings are not viewed as creators or ultimate authorities. In the Buddhist cosmology, gods, devas, inhabit various realms of existence, but they are also subject to the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, samsara, like all other beings. They may possess great power and long lifespans, but they are not immortal or omnipotent. Importantly, these gods are not central to Buddhist practice. They are seen as beings who, like humans, are on their own path to enlightenment. This non-theistic approach has profound implications for the practice of Buddhism. It shifts the focus from seeking favor or intervention from a divine being to cultivating one's own qualities of wisdom, compassion, and ethical conduct. The path to enlightenment is seen as an internal journey, where the practitioner relies on their own efforts, supported by the teachings of the Buddha and the community of practitioners, the Sangha. The rejection of a creator god in Buddhism also leads to a distinctive approach to morality and ethics. In many theistic religions, moral laws are viewed as divine commandments, and ethical behavior is often motivated by the desire to please God or avoid divine punishment. In Buddhism, ethical conduct is based on the understanding of karma and the recognition of the interconnectedness of all beings. Actions are seen as having natural consequences that affect oneself and others, and ethical behavior arises from the insight that unwholesome actions lead to suffering, while wholesome actions lead to well-being. This ethical framework is encapsulated in the 5 precepts, which are the basic guidelines for ethical conduct in Buddhism: abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, false speech, and intoxicants that cloud the mind. These precepts are not divine commandments, but practical guidelines that help individuals lead a life conducive to spiritual growth and the reduction of suffering. The Buddhist critique of the concept of God also extends to the psychological and social dimensions of religious belief. The Buddha argued that belief in a supreme being often stems from a desire for security and comfort in the face of life's uncertainties and sufferings. This desire can lead to a form of spiritual dependency that hinders personal growth and self-realization. By encouraging individuals to rely on their own efforts and insights, Buddhism promotes a form of spiritual autonomy and empowerment. In contemporary times, the Buddhist perspective on God continues to resonate with many people who are seeking a spiritual path that is free from dogma and external authority. The emphasis on personal experience, ethical living, and meditation aligns well with modern values of individualism, rationality, and empirical inquiry. Moreover, the non-theistic nature of Buddhism makes it compatible with scientific perspectives, particularly in areas such as psychology and neuroscience, where the benefits of meditation and mindfulness are increasingly recognized. The concept of God in Buddhism is markedly different from that in theistic religions. By rejecting the notion of a creator God and emphasizing self-reliance and personal responsibility, Buddhism offers a unique spiritual path that focuses on practical wisdom and ethical conduct. This approach not only distinguishes Buddhism from other religious traditions, but also makes it particularly relevant in the contemporary world, where individuals seek meaningful and autonomous paths to spiritual fulfillment. Buddhism presents a distinctive perspective on the nature of existence, one that challenges many of the assumptions held by other religious and philosophical traditions. Central to this perspective are the concepts of anatta, non-self, and sunyata, emptiness, which offer profound insights into the nature of reality and the self. These teachings are not merely abstract philosophical doctrines, but practical guides for understanding and overcoming suffering. The concept of anatta, or non-self, is one of the most fundamental and unique teachings of Buddhism. According to this doctrine, there is no permanent, unchanging self or soul, Atman, that persists through time. Instead, what we consider to be the self is actually a constantly changing collection of physical and mental components, known as the five aggregates, skandhas. These aggregates include form, rupa, sensation, vedana, perception, sana, mental formations, sankhara, and consciousness, vijnana. Together, they create the illusion of a cohesive and enduring self. But upon closer examination, it becomes clear that there is no underlying essence or core to this self. The Buddha introduced the concept of anatta as a direct challenge to the prevalent belief systems of his time, particularly the Hindu notion of Atman. He taught that clinging to the idea of a permanent self leads to suffering, as it fosters attachment, desire, and aversion. By realizing the truth of non-self, practitioners can begin to let go of these attachments and cultivate a sense of detachment and equanimity. This understanding of anatta has significant implications for how we perceive and interact with the world. It encourages us to see ourselves and others not as fixed entities, but as dynamic processes, constantly in flux. This shift in perspective can lead to greater compassion and empathy, as we recognize that all beings are subject to the same impermanent and conditioned nature of existence. Closely related to the concept of anatta is the teaching of sunyata, or emptiness. Sunyata refers to the absence of inherent existence in all phenomena. According to this doctrine, everything in the universe is empty of intrinsic nature or essence. This does not mean that things do not exist, but rather that they do not exist independently or permanently. Instead, all phenomena arise and exist in dependence on other causes and conditions, a principle known as dependent origination, pratityasamutpada. The teaching of sunyata is particularly prominent in Mahayana Buddhism, where it is elaborated upon in the Prajnaparamita, Perfection of Wisdom, sutras. These texts emphasize that understanding emptiness is essential for attaining wisdom and enlightenment. By recognizing the emptiness of all phenomena, practitioners can overcome attachment and aversion, seeing the world as it truly is, interconnected, impermanent, and devoid of any fixed essence. One of the most famous expressions of the concept of emptiness is found in the Heart Sutra, a key text in Mahayana Buddhism. The sutra states, "Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is not other than emptiness." This paradoxical statement highlights the interdependence and inseparability of form and emptiness. It suggests that while phenomena appear to have form and substance, they are ultimately empty of inherent existence. At the same time, emptiness is not a separate, transcendent reality, but is inherent in the very nature of form. The realization of sunyata has profound practical implications for the Buddhist path. It helps to dissolve the dualistic thinking that divides the world into self and other, subject and object, and fosters a direct, non-conceptual awareness of reality. This non-dualistic understanding is a key aspect of the wisdom, prajna, that leads to enlightenment. In practice, the teachings of anatta and sunyata are not merely intellectual concepts to be understood, but experiential truths to be realized through meditation and mindful awareness. Various meditation practices, such as vipassana, insight, meditation, and Zen's shikantaza, just sitting, aim to cultivate direct insight into the nature of the self and reality. Through these practices, practitioners learn to observe the arising and passing away of thoughts, sensations, and emotions, seeing them as transient and insubstantial. Moreover, the understanding of anatta and sunyata can transform how we live our daily lives. It encourages us to approach experiences with a sense of openness and flexibility, free from rigid attachments and identifications. This can lead to a more peaceful and harmonious way of being, as we learn to accept the impermanent and interdependent nature of all things. In summary, the concepts of anatta and sunyata offer profound insights into the nature of existence and the self. By realizing the truth of non-self and emptiness, we can overcome attachment, cultivate wisdom, and ultimately attain liberation from suffering. These teachings challenge us to see the world in a radically different way, fostering a deeper understanding of the interconnected and impermanent nature of reality. Buddhist ethics and morality are integral to the path of practice and are deeply rooted in the understanding of the nature of existence and the causes of suffering. Unlike many religious traditions that base their ethical guidelines on divine commandments, Buddhist ethics are grounded in the principles of karma, the law of cause and effect, and the recognition of the interconnectedness of all beings. This ethical framework emphasizes personal responsibility, compassion, and the cultivation of virtues that lead to the well-being of oneself and others. At the heart of Buddhist ethics is the principle of non-harming, ahimsa. This principle is encapsulated in the 5 precepts, which serve as the foundational ethical guidelines for lay practitioners. The 5 precepts are: abstaining from taking life. This precept encourages respect for all living beings and the avoidance of causing harm or death to any creature. It fosters a sense of compassion and reverence for life. Abstaining from taking what is not given. This precept promotes honesty and respect for the property of others. It discourages stealing and encourages generosity and fairness. Abstaining from sexual misconduct. This precept calls for integrity and responsibility in sexual relationships. It emphasizes the importance of consent and the avoidance of harm through sexual actions. Abstaining from false speech. This precept encourages truthfulness and the avoidance of lying, deceit, and harmful speech. It promotes honest and kind communication. Abstaining from intoxicants that cloud the mind. This precept advocates for mindfulness and mental clarity. It discourages the use of substances that impair judgment and lead to heedless behavior. These precepts are not viewed as commandments imposed by an external authority, but as practical guidelines that help individuals lead a life conducive to spiritual development and the reduction of suffering. By following these precepts, practitioners create the conditions for a harmonious and ethical life, which in turn supports their meditation practice and the cultivation of wisdom. Beyond the 5 precepts, Buddhist ethics are further elaborated in the Noble Eightfold Path, which provides a comprehensive framework for ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. The Eightfold Path includes right understanding. This involves understanding the 4 noble truths and the nature of reality, including the principles of karma and dependent origination. Right intention. This involves cultivating wholesome intentions and motivations, such as renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness. Right speech. This emphasizes speaking truthfully, kindly, and beneficially, and avoiding false, harsh, or divisive speech. Right action. This involves acting ethically and compassionately, following the precepts and avoiding harmful behaviors. Right. Livelihood. This encourages engaging in work that is ethical and does not cause harm to others. It discourages professions that involve exploitation, violence, or deceit. Right effort. This involves making a diligent effort to cultivate wholesome qualities and abandon unwholesome ones. It includes the practice of mindfulness and self-discipline. Right mindfulness. This involves developing awareness of the body, feelings, mind, and phenomena, and maintaining present moment awareness in all activities. Right. Concentration. This involves developing deep states of meditative absorption, jhanas, that lead to mental clarity and insight. The Noble Eightfold Path highlights the interconnectedness of ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. Ethical behavior lays the foundation for mental clarity and concentration, which in turn supports the development of wisdom and insight. This integrated approach ensures that ethical principles are not merely theoretical, but are embodied in one's daily life and practice. One of the unique aspects of Buddhist ethics is its emphasis on intention. In Buddhism, the ethical quality of an action is determined not only by its outward form, but also by the intention behind it. This focus on intention aligns with the understanding of karma, which posits that actions motivated by greed, hatred, or delusion lead to negative consequences, while actions motivated by generosity, love, and wisdom lead to positive outcomes. By cultivating wholesome intentions, practitioners can create the conditions for positive karma and spiritual growth. Compassion, karuna, and loving kindness, metta, are central virtues in Buddhist ethics. These qualities involve extending care and goodwill to all beings, recognizing their suffering, and aspiring to alleviate it. The practice of metta meditation, in which one generates feelings of loving kindness and directs them towards oneself and others, helps cultivate these qualities. Compassion and loving kindness are seen as essential for ethical conduct, as they motivate actions that promote the well-being of others and reduce harm. Equanimity, upekkha, is another key virtue in Buddhist ethics. Equanimity involves maintaining a balanced and impartial attitude towards all beings and situations, free from attachment and aversion. It allows practitioners to respond to challenges and difficulties with calmness and clarity, without being swayed by emotional reactivity. Equanimity supports ethical behavior by enabling practitioners to act with wisdom and discernment, even in difficult circumstances. The ethical teachings of Buddhism also extend to the broader social and environmental context. In recent years, there has been a growing recognition of the need for socially engaged Buddhism, which applies Buddhist principles to address social, economic, and environmental issues. This includes efforts to promote social justice, environmental sustainability, and the alleviation of poverty and suffering in the world. Socially engaged Buddhism emphasizes the interconnectedness of all beings and the responsibility to act compassionately and ethically in the face of global challenges. It calls for collective action to address systemic issues and to create a more just and sustainable world. This approach aligns with the traditional Buddhist emphasis on interdependence and the recognition that individual well-being is inseparable from the well-being of others and the environment. In summary, Buddhist ethics and morality are grounded in the understanding of karma, the principles of non-harming, and the recognition of the interconnectedness of all beings. By following the 5 precepts, the Noble Eightfold Path, and cultivating virtues such as compassion, loving kindness, and equanimity, practitioners create the conditions for personal and collective well-being. Buddhist ethics offer a practical and holistic framework for living a life that reduces suffering and promotes harmony, both for oneself and for the wider world. Meditation and mindfulness are central practices in Buddhism, essential for cultivating mental discipline, insight, and ultimately, enlightenment. These practices are tools for transforming the mind, fostering a deeper understanding of reality, and achieving a state of inner peace and clarity. This part delves into the various forms of meditation and mindfulness, their purposes, and their transformative effects. Meditation in Buddhism can be broadly categorized into two main types: samatha, calm abiding, and vipassana, insight, meditation. Each type serves a distinct purpose and complements the other in the path toward enlightenment. Samatha meditation focuses on calming the mind and developing concentration. It involves fixing the attention on a single object, such as the breath, a mantra, or a visual object like a candle flame. The goal is to achieve a state of mental tranquility and one-pointedness, free from distraction and agitation. Through sustained practice, practitioners can attain deep states of meditative absorption known as jhanas. The practice of samatha meditation begins with selecting a suitable object of focus. One of the most common objects is the breath. By observing the natural rhythm of breathing, practitioners develop a steady awareness of the present moment. This practice not only calms the mind, but also enhances concentration and mental clarity. As concentration deepens, practitioners may experience various stages of jhanas, characterized by increasing levels of mental purity and bliss. These states provide a stable foundation for further meditative practices, particularly vipassana meditation. However, it is essential to note that the primary goal of samatha is not to become attached to these states, but to use them as a basis for developing insight. Vipassana meditation, also known as insight meditation, aims to cultivate a direct and experiential understanding of the nature of reality. This practice involves observing the impermanent, unsatisfactory, and selfless nature of all phenomena. Unlike samatha, which focuses on calming the mind, vipassana seeks to penetrate the true nature of existence. In vipassana meditation, practitioners observe their thoughts, sensations, and emotions without attachment or aversion. By maintaining a mindful and non-reactive awareness, they gain insight into the transient and interdependent nature of all experiences. This practice helps to dismantle the illusion of a permanent self and fosters a deep understanding of the Four Noble Truths. One of the key techniques in vipassana meditation is body scanning, where practitioners systematically observe sensations throughout the body. This practice reveals the ever-changing nature of physical sensations and helps to develop a balanced and equanimous mind. Through continuous observation, practitioners gain insight into the arising and passing away of phenomena, leading to the realization of anicca, impermanence, dukkha, suffering, and anatta, non-self. Mindfulness, or sati, is a foundational aspect of both samatha and vipassana meditation. It involves maintaining a present moment awareness of one's thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, and the surrounding environment. Mindfulness practice extends beyond formal meditation sessions and can be integrated into daily life. The practice of mindfulness is often described using the four foundations of mindfulness, as outlined in the Satipatthana Sutta. 1. Mindfulness of the body, kayanupassana. This involves observing bodily sensations, movements, and postures. Practices include mindful breathing, body scanning, and mindful walking. 2. Mindfulness of feelings, vedananupassana. This involves observing pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feelings that arise in response to sensory experiences. Practitioners learn to recognize and understand their reactions to these feelings. 3. Mindfulness of the mind, cittanupassana. This involves observing mental states and thought patterns. Practitioners become aware of their emotional and cognitive responses, fostering a non-judgmental awareness of their mental landscape. 4. Mindfulness of dhammas, dhammanupassana. This involves observing mental objects and phenomena, including thoughts, concepts, and teachings. Practitioners develop insight into the nature of these phenomena and their relationship to the Four Noble Truths. Mindfulness practice cultivates a state of heightened awareness and presence, allowing individuals to respond to life's challenges with greater clarity and equanimity. It helps to break habitual patterns of reactivity and fosters a sense of inner peace and resilience. The practice of meditation and mindfulness has transformative effects on multiple levels, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Numerous scientific studies have demonstrated the benefits of these practices, including reduced stress, improved emotional regulation, enhanced cognitive function, and increased overall well-being. Physically, meditation and mindfulness have been shown to reduce stress-related ailments, lower blood pressure, and strengthen the immune system. These practices promote relaxation and help the body to heal and rejuvenate. Mentally, meditation and mindfulness improve concentration, enhance memory, and foster emotional stability. Practitioners develop greater self-awareness and emotional intelligence, enabling them to navigate life's challenges with greater ease and composure. Spiritually, meditation and mindfulness pave the way for deeper insights into the nature of existence. By cultivating a direct and experiential understanding of impermanence, suffering, and non-self, practitioners move closer to the ultimate goal of enlightenment. These practices help to dissolve the illusion of a separate self and foster a sense of interconnectedness with all beings. In summary, meditation and mindfulness are powerful tools for personal transformation. Through the practices of samatha and vipassana meditation, practitioners develop concentration, insight, and a deep understanding of reality. By integrating mindfulness into daily life, individuals can cultivate a state of continuous awareness and presence, leading to greater well-being and spiritual growth. These practices are central to the Buddhist path, offering a practical and profound means of achieving enlightenment and liberation from suffering. Buddhist cosmology offers a unique and comprehensive understanding of the universe, existence, and the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, known as samsara. Central to this cosmology is the goal of achieving nirvana, the state of liberation from the cycle of suffering. This part explores the intricate concepts of samsara and nirvana, providing insights into their significance and the path to liberation. Samsara, often translated as wandering or cyclic existence, refers to the continuous cycle of birth, death, and rebirth that all beings undergo. This cycle is driven by karma, the law of cause and effect, where actions in one life influence the conditions of future lives. Samsara is characterized by impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta, and it encompasses multiple realms of existence. Buddhist cosmology identifies 6 primary realms within samsara, each representing different types of existence and experiences. The realm of gods, Devaloka, inhabited by celestial beings who experience great pleasure and longevity. Despite their blissful existence, gods are still subject to samsara and can fall to lower realms once their good karma is exhausted. The realm of demigods, Asura Loka, inhabited by powerful beings who are often engaged in conflict and competition. They experience both pleasure and suffering and are driven by jealousy and ambition. The realm of humans, Manusa Loka, considered the most favorable realm for attaining enlightenment due to the balance of pleasure and pain. Humans have the unique opportunity to practice the Dharma and cultivate the path to liberation. The realm of animals, Tiryagyoni Loka, characterized by ignorance and instinctual behavior. Animals experience significant suffering and have limited capacity for spiritual practice. The realm of hungry ghosts, Pretaloka, inhabited by beings who suffer from intense hunger and thirst. This realm symbolizes insatiable craving and attachment. The realm of hell, Narakaloka, characterized by extreme suffering and torment. Beings in this realm endure intense pain due to their negative karma, but will eventually be reborn in other realms once their karma is exhausted. Samsara is often depicted as the wheel of life, Bhavachakra, a visual representation of the cyclic nature of existence. The wheel is held by Yama, the Lord of Death, symbolizing the inevitability of death and rebirth. At the center of the wheel are the 3 poisons, ignorance, attachment, and aversion, represented by a pig, a rooster, and a snake, respectively. These poisons drive the cycle of samsara and perpetuate suffering. Karma, the law of cause and effect, plays a crucial role in the cycle of samsara. It posits that every action, whether physical, verbal, or mental, has consequences that shape future experiences. Wholesome actions, motivated by generosity, compassion, and wisdom, lead to positive outcomes and favorable rebirths. Unwholesome actions, driven by greed, hatred, and delusion, result in negative consequences and unfavorable rebirths. Karma is not a system of reward and punishment administered by a divine being, but a natural law that operates according to the principles of causality. Understanding the nature of karma and its impact on samsara is essential for navigating the path to liberation. By cultivating wholesome actions and intentions, practitioners can create the conditions for a favorable rebirth and progress towards nirvana. Nirvana, often translated as extinguishment or liberation, represents the ultimate goal of the Buddhist path. It is the state of complete freedom from the cycle of samsara and the cessation of suffering. Nirvana is achieved by uprooting the causes of suffering, particularly ignorance, avidya, and the three poisons. Nirvana is described in two forms: nirvana with residue, slbuddhism nirvana, and nirvana without residue, anupadisesa nirvana. Nirvana with residue refers to the state achieved by an enlightened being while still living. Although the defilements and suffering have been eradicated, the individual still experiences the physical body and its sensations. Nirvana without residue is the state attained at the death of an enlightened being, when all physical and mental remnants cease and complete liberation is realized. The realization of nirvana is often depicted as the blowing out of a flame, symbolizing the extinguishment of the fires of desire, aversion, and delusion. It is a state of profound peace, clarity, and freedom from all forms of suffering. While nirvana is beyond ordinary conceptualization, it is often described through negation, emphasizing what it is not rather than what it is. It is neither existence nor non-existence, neither becoming nor annihilation. The path to nirvana is outlined in the Noble Eightfold Path, a comprehensive guide to ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. This path includes right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. By following this path, practitioners can cultivate the qualities necessary for liberation and gradually transcend the cycle of samsara. Meditation and mindfulness practices are central to this path, as they help to develop insight into the nature of reality and the causes of suffering. Through sustained practice, individuals can overcome the three poisons and realize the truth of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. The journey to nirvana is often described as a gradual process of purification and transformation. It involves not only intellectual understanding, but also deep experiential insight gained through meditation and ethical living. The support of a spiritual community, sangha, and the guidance of a qualified teacher are also crucial in navigating this path. In summary, Buddhist cosmology presents a comprehensive understanding of samsara and nirvana, highlighting the cyclic nature of existence and the ultimate goal of liberation. By understanding the principles of karma and the causes of suffering, practitioners can follow the path to nirvana and achieve complete freedom from the cycle of birth and death. This transformative journey requires dedication, mindfulness, and the cultivation of wisdom, ultimately leading to the cessation of suffering and the realization of true peace. The Sangha, or the community of practitioners, is one of the three jewels of Buddhism, alongside the Buddha and the Dharma. The Sangha plays a crucial role in supporting and sustaining the practice of individuals on the path to enlightenment. Unlike many religious communities that are bound by strict creeds and dogmas, the Buddhist Sangha is characterized by its emphasis on ethical conduct, mutual support, and shared commitment to the teachings of the Buddha. This part explores the nature and function of the Sangha, its historical development, and its significance in the modern world. The Sangha was established by the Buddha shortly after his enlightenment. Initially, it consisted of a small group of monks, bhikkhus, who renounced worldly life to follow the Buddha's teachings. The early Sangha was a mendicant community, living a life of simplicity and relying on alms for sustenance. Members of the Sangha took vows of celibacy, poverty, and non-violence, dedicating themselves to the study and practice of the Dharma. The Sangha soon expanded to include nuns, bhikkhunis, and lay practitioners. The inclusion of lay people broadened the scope of the community, allowing individuals who did not take monastic vows to participate in the Buddhist path. Lay practitioners support the monastic community through offerings and receive guidance and teachings in return. The Vinaya, the monastic code of conduct, was established to regulate the behavior of monks and nuns and to maintain harmony within the Sangha. The Vinaya includes rules on various aspects of monastic life, such as conduct, dress, and interactions with lay people. These rules are designed to promote ethical behavior, discipline, and the integrity of the community. The Sangha serves multiple functions within the Buddhist tradition. It provides a supportive environment for practice, preserves and transmits the teachings of the Buddha, and acts as a moral and ethical example for the wider community. Supportive environment for practice. The Sangha offers a conducive environment for individuals to engage in meditation, study, and ethical conduct. Monastic communities provide structured schedules that include periods of meditation, chanting, and Dharma study. This disciplined lifestyle helps practitioners cultivate mindfulness, concentration, and insight. Preservation and transmission of the Dharma. The Sangha plays a vital role in preserving the teachings of the Buddha and ensuring their accurate transmission across generations. Monks and nuns engage in the study and memorization of sacred texts, participate in rituals, and teach the Dharma to lay practitioners. This ensures the continuity and integrity of the Buddhist tradition. Moral and ethical example. The Sangha serves as a moral and ethical example for the wider community. The conduct of monks and nuns, governed by the Vinaya, embodies the principles of non-harming, truthfulness, and simplicity. Lay practitioners look to the Sangha for inspiration and guidance in their own ethical and spiritual lives. The lay Sangha, consisting of non-monastic practitioners, is an integral part of the Buddhist community. Lay practitioners engage in various forms of practice, including meditation, ethical living, and participation in rituals and ceremonies. They support the monastic community through offerings and act as stewards of the Dharma in their daily lives. The relationship between the monastic and lay Sangha is one of mutual support and interdependence. Monastics provide teachings, guidance, and a living example of the Buddhist path, while lay practitioners offer material support and create a conducive environment for the flourishing of the Dharma. This symbiotic relationship ensures the vitality and continuity of the Buddhist tradition. One of the strengths of the Buddhist Sangha is its inclusivity and diversity. The Sangha is open to individuals from all walks of life, regardless of gender, age, ethnicity, or social status. The establishment of the Bhikkhuni Sangha by the Buddha marked an important step towards gender inclusivity, allowing women to pursue the monastic path and attain enlightenment. Over time, the Sangha has adapted to different cultural contexts, leading to the emergence of various schools and traditions within Buddhism. Despite these differences, the core principles of the Dharma and the commitment to ethical conduct remain central to all forms of the Sangha. In the contemporary world, the Sangha continues to play a vital role in the preservation and propagation of Buddhism. Monastic communities and meditation centers around the world provide spaces for individuals to engage in practice and study. The rise of global communication and travel has facilitated the spread of Buddhism to new regions, creating diverse and vibrant Sangha communities. Modern Sanghas also engage in socially engaged Buddhism, applying Buddhist principles to address social, economic, and environmental issues. Monastics and lay practitioners work together to promote social justice, environmental sustainability, and humanitarian efforts. This engagement reflects the interconnectedness of all beings and the responsibility to act compassionately in the face of global challenges. The Sangha faces various challenges in the modern world, including the need to adapt to changing social and cultural contexts, the preservation of monastic discipline, and the integration of traditional practices with contemporary lifestyles. However, these challenges also present opportunities for growth and innovation. The Sangha can draw on its rich heritage and flexible approach to address contemporary issues and remain relevant in a rapidly changing world. In summary, the Sangha is a cornerstone of the Buddhist tradition, providing a supportive environment for practice, preserving the teachings of the Buddha, and serving as a moral and ethical example. Its inclusivity, adaptability, and commitment to the Dharma ensure its continued vitality and relevance. In the modern world, the Sangha continues to evolve, addressing contemporary challenges and opportunities while staying true to its foundational principles. Buddhism, with its rich history and profound teachings, has successfully adapted to various cultural contexts throughout the centuries. In the modern world, Buddhism continues to evolve, addressing contemporary issues and resonating with individuals seeking spiritual and practical guidance. This part explores the relevance and adaptation of Buddhism in today's globalized society, examining its impact on various aspects of life and its potential for future growth. Buddhism's spread beyond its origins in India began over 2 millennia ago, with its teachings reaching Central Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia, and later the West. Each region has adapted Buddhist practices and teachings to fit its cultural and social context, resulting in a rich diversity of traditions and schools. This adaptability has been a hallmark of Buddhism's resilience and relevance. In the modern era, the global spread of Buddhism has accelerated due to advances in communication, travel, and technology. Western interest in Buddhism has grown significantly, with many individuals drawn to its philosophical depth, ethical teachings, and practical methods for mental well-being. This has led to the establishment of numerous Buddhist centers, meditation groups, and academic programs across Europe, the Americas, and other parts of the world. Buddhism has played an active role in interfaith dialogue, fostering mutual understanding and cooperation among different religious traditions. Buddhist leaders and scholars participate in interfaith conferences, promoting values of compassion, nonviolence, and ethical living. This dialogue helps to bridge cultural and religious divides, contributing to global peace and harmony. In addition to its religious and philosophical aspects, Buddhism has found secular applications, particularly in the fields of psychology and mental health. Mindfulness-based interventions, such as mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, have gained widespread acceptance in clinical settings. These practices, rooted in Buddhist meditation techniques, have been shown to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, improving overall mental well-being. Socially engaged Buddhism represents a contemporary movement that applies Buddhist principles to address social, economic, and environmental issues. This movement emphasizes the interconnectedness of all beings and the importance of compassionate action in the face of suffering. Socially engaged Buddhists work on various fronts, including social justice, environmental conservation, and humanitarian aid. Prominent figures such as Thich Nhat Hanh and the Dalai Lama have been instrumental in promoting socially engaged Buddhism. Their teachings and actions inspire individuals and communities to integrate Buddhist values into their efforts to create a more just and sustainable world. This movement demonstrates the practical relevance of Buddhism in addressing the challenges of the modern era. The rise of digital technology has opened new avenues for the dissemination and practice of Buddhism. Online platforms, social media, and mobile applications provide access to Buddhist teachings, meditation instructions, and community support. Virtual meditation groups and Dharma talks allow individuals to connect with teachers and practitioners globally, overcoming geographical barriers. Digital archives and resources have made Buddhist texts and teachings more accessible than ever before. Scholars and practitioners can study and share the Dharma through online courses, webinars, and digital libraries. This democratization of knowledge empowers individuals to engage with Buddhism at their own pace and according to their interests. While Buddhism has successfully adapted to the modern world, it also faces several challenges. Maintaining the integrity of traditional teachings and practices amidst modernization and commercialization is a significant concern. Ensuring that monastic communities thrive and that ethical standards are upheld in lay practice requires continuous effort. Additionally, the rise of secular mindfulness practices has led to debates about the potential dilution of Buddhist teachings. While these practices offer tangible benefits, it is essential to recognize and preserve the deeper ethical and philosophical dimensions of Buddhism. Looking ahead, Buddhism has the potential to continue its positive impact on the modern world. Its emphasis on mindfulness, compassion, and ethical living aligns with the growing global awareness of mental health, environmental sustainability, and social justice. By fostering dialogue, promoting holistic well-being, and addressing contemporary challenges, Buddhism can contribute to a more peaceful and harmonious world. Buddhism's ability to adapt and remain relevant in the modern world speaks to the timeless nature of its teachings. From its global spread and cultural adaptation to its secular applications and engagement with social issues, Buddhism continues to offer valuable insights and practices. As it navigates the opportunities and challenges of the contemporary era, Buddhism remains a source of wisdom, compassion, and transformation, guiding individuals and communities toward a more enlightened and compassionate existence.